journalists, innocent passers-by. I want you to help us make sense of this. And I dare ask, has the Ghana Police Service failed us?
Oh, no. I don't think this has anything to do with police failure at all. You know, when the political class deliberately incites and excites political attacks, irrespective of the Vigilante Act 999, there's very little the police service can do. You see, this is a failure of our political culture. It's unfortunate, but it's not surprising, because violence in our politics has become a currency. If you pay well, you can get the macho men or the vigilantes to do your dirty work. And this almost brings to mind the extreme brutality that experienced at the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election. And it looks to me as if our political class not learned anything. And the tax or the vigilantes themselves have also not learned anything. You know, the allure of public office, access to those in public office, is more than enough to incite people to violence. And let's not deceive ourselves. I think both political parties and some of the actors who have suffered today have used utterances prior to the December 2024 election that sought to incite people to violence. You see, so I think as a nation, if we are interested in developing a political culture based on principles and shared norms and values, then we need a different type of political behavior. But from where I sit, we are far from beginning the process of pulling back from the brink. Violence will remain in our politics for a very long time to come.
Prof, I hear you when you say we need a different type of political behavior, but I want to stay on security for a little bit. We know that at the beginning of today, the Ghana Police Service had deployed about 100 police officers to one polling station, which meant that they had enough men to prevent such incidents of violence from happening. But we didn't see that. In one of the videos that I saw, you could see these macho men running around chasing someone. I couldn't tell exactly who. And the police just gave them way to come and pass. I think that that's something we should focus on, whether or not the police did the work that they were sent out there to do today.
So, as you well know, one of the biggest challenges that the Ghana Police Service has faced historically is about riot control. And particularly when you have, macho men who think they are politically connected and protected, deciding deliberately to flout the law and challenge the authority of the police, then one of the options left to the police would be to use excessive force. And I can tell you, if they had done, you and I were talking about that right. So for me, the issue of political culture is very, if those who seek to attain power are willing to use violence to incite people to challenge the authority of the state and its legitimate actors. Look, there's very little the Ghana Police Service can do. Yes, they could have marked the place for 300 police officers per polling booth or polling station. But I can assure you also that would not have solved the problem if you have vigilantes who think they are connected and they will challenge the authority of the police. Then the police will have to use violence, and I can assure you that will lead to even more people. So I think we should be focusing also on arresting these macho men, interrogating them as who hired, who funded them, and getting their backers in prison or before a court of competent jurisdiction. Because focusing on police criticism alone will not pull us out of the woods. And I can assure you, it's going to get more and more violent, and it's going to escalate and get out of hand. Look, the Ghana Police Service has a lot on it already. Let our political class help them to focus on the things that is essential to all of us. We can deal with political violence if our leaders themselves are sincere when they talk about peace. But I get the impression peace is just a word that they use without any sincerity and a desire to ensure that their followers also understands what that word means. Right now, I can bet you any by-election that we hold or any election in this country will generate considerably more violence than we are seeing today.
That sounds like a prophecy of doom, but I understand that it's backed with intelligence in your expert opinion as a security expert. Now, I want to isolate the Odoko Methodist polling station incident. That was the same place that the issue of violence began. It was a collation center during the election 2020, December 2024 election. I don't know so much about security, but I would think that the Ghana Police Service or the security personnel who are deployed to go there ought to have done some sort of assessment to understand that that place was a hotspot. And so deploy the necessary tools, the necessary armory, the necessary, I don't know what you call it, so that they can prevent this from happening. Now, to come back after 6 months, Prof, and see the exact same thing happen at the exact same location, it beats my mind that how did we even assess the situation before we sent out security over there? On what assessment did we do before we sent out security? And mind you, the police officers who were there since morning were not armed. They didn't have any kind of arms. They just went there, and so it was the new badge who were sent as reinforcement. They came in with riot gear. So it beats my mind. I'm trying to help me reconcile this. The exact same place, the exact same incident. And we couldn't have seen this.
If we hold another election in 6 months at the exact same place, you can send all the reinforcements. The same violence will take place.
Prof, that doesn't give me hope at all.
Pardon?
It doesn't inspire hope in me at all, or confidence in our security services.
I'm just telling you the truth, that this is not a failure of policing. It's a failure of our political class to abide by the rules of the game. Look, macho men are hungry, they are unemployed, they are unemployable. They know that if their candidate wins, they will get something to chop small. So they are willing to lay down their lives. It is not the responsibility of the police to deal with such characters. That is the job of the armed force. And I think it was good assessment not to send the first battalion or the first group of police officers with weapons, because something bad would have happened. And that would have escalated the problem. Look, I like the phrase that you used, the prophet of doom.
Yeah.
I am not afraid to speak the truth with people, leaders in Ghana do not like. Electoral violence will get considerably violent because violence pays. Violence gives access to office, political office. It gives access to juicy position. There is a direct positive correlation between those who incite violence and then when their party wins, they get juicy officers. Okay, so it's not going to stop now. Okay, I predicted 5 coup d'etats in West Africa. They have happened. 1 or 2 more are on the way. Okay, solid assessment and boldness in looking at the indices and the variables and drawing conclusions, leads to characterizations as prophet of doom.
Right.
You are causing fear and panic. But
Prof,
you and I will have this conversation when there's an next election.
Prof, hopefully
So
Ghana is not one of those countries that your assessments show that a coup d'etat might happen here. But I want to move on from these merchants of war and conflict, and let's talk about this political behavior you're speaking about.
Yes.
Exactly what would it look like? That political behavior that we need to adopt in order to stop seeing incidents of violence mar a simple election like this. What does it look like?
Well, the election is not that simple. Based on where the chips will fall tonight, whether it's the MPP that wins or the NDC, it changes the character of politics for the next 3.5 years. And it has monumental potential impact on the way this country is governed and the way our democracy is. But democracy is about shared principles and shared norms. Okay? And there is no single political party in Ghana that has argued in its manifesto that they believe in violence as a tool to attaining political power. So all the political parties talk about peace. But peace is not a common good. Okay? Peace is not a common good. It's not everyone who says, I want peace, who understands the word and seeks to work towards the attainment of peace. So if as political actors, we all don't want violence, we all don't want the use of vigilante, macho men, we have an act against such practices. Okay, we want to use the strength of our argument, to win the day. Then you will be developing a political culture in which those who are violent, either psychologically or physically, are then excluded from being part of the party. Let me give you a very typical example. When the vice president was candidate, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, it became routine for opposition politicians to use the most unprintable words against them. Okay?
Yeah.
With the exception of Ursula Owusu, who stood up and said, this is indecent. She's a woman. I'm a woman. I'll stand beside her. Almost every woman in this country was quiet. Okay? Because people perceive the abuse, the disgraceful, the degrading abuse. If you would, to me, had the audacity to insult her. People accepted that as the normal way politics is done. I am saying that is not the way politics must be done.
Okay.
So let's bring decency back. Let's bring honesty back. Let's bring the making utterances that you can stand by. Don't make promises that even if you win, you will not be able to fulfill those promises. But we are running the politics of deception, of intimidation, of fear, of routinized violence. And that is not how politics must be run. So we need to come back to a political culture where we can debate, argue, discuss without using the tools of violence.
Right.